Hi, my name is Talia, and I did my research assignment on the book of Leviticus, chapter 12, verses 1 through 8. So a summary of these passages, it starts with just listing out some steps for women to follow postpartum in order to reach this purification, a state of being purified, essentially. So it's steps for her to take both for herself and for her newborn child. The first step that we're given is that on the 8th day exactly, the flesh of any newborn son's foreskin must be circumcised. And there are also different durations that are given for if a woman gives birth to a son versus a daughter. For example, if a woman conceives and gives birth to a son, she will be ceremonially unclean for 1 week, and her time of blood purification will be at 33 days. But if she gives birth to a daughter, she'll be unclean for twice that length, 2 weeks, and her time of blood purification will also come 2 times later at the 66th day mark. So this is really interesting, and we get into it later on, but I really didn't understand why there was a difference between the lengths of time that a woman would be unclean after giving birth to a son or a daughter, but my research did help me understand where this came from. The text also mentions that after this woman reaches the state of blood purification, she is instructed to bring an offering to her priest to reach the final state of purification. This is instructed to be either a lamb or 2 turtle doves if she's unable to afford the lamb for a sacrifice. She's also instructed to not touch anything that is holy or come into the sanctuary until the day of her purification is complete. So they are not allowed in the sanctuary or anywhere else that is holy while they are in this impure state. What I thought this passage would be about, or what I thought it was about right after I finished reading it before I got to research, I thought it was stating that birthing in some way rendered the woman unclean in the eyes of the Lord, which I really did not understand why populating God's kingdom and giving birth and continuing humankind would be referenced to as a sin in any way, which it wasn't directly called a sin in this passage, but the offering that the woman was instructed to bring to the priest was referred to as a sin offering. So this definitely confused me. I then understood afterwards it's not about the birthing and the loss of blood that a woman has during giving birth. For example, it's any loss of fluids, so menstrual blood or any non-reproductive loss of semen or encountering a corpse. All of these things can render a person impure in the eyes of the Lord, and I thought that was really interesting. I thought that these steps were being given to women in order to be forgiven, which I understand I was really wrong. It's not about asking for forgiveness, it's about healing the physical body when impurity is considered. It's very different from sin. Leading into the next statement, which is my thesis, I believe that the 3 main themes covered in chapter 12 of Leviticus are postpartum purification, the difference between sin and impurity in God's eye, and also the significance of purifying rituals, which I found really interesting to learn about. So the importance of purifying rituals is mainly maintaining the Lord's presence and sanctuary in your life. Once you follow these steps and the exact durations of time that are given, it's sort of a way of showing you're serious about becoming pure again and returning to your original state. I later learned during my research that the longer waiting period for women with daughters could potentially be because some newborn girls do bleed vaginally at the time or a few days after they're born, which this extra loss of fluids could double the waiting time on part of the woman who gave birth to the child. So the difference between sinning and being impure, I also found really fascinating. Sinning is more so a committed offense. It could be inadvertently or advertently, but it generally requires forgiveness. However, landing in a state of impurity is much more inevitable, especially for women, just with the loss of fluids that happen throughout the lifetime. So I would say the main difference is that with sinning, it needs to be forgiven, and with the state of impurity, it just must be healed. It's more so about healing the physical body and removing that physical impurity in order to make that transgression to the pure state, which is why the purifying rituals are so important. And I really found this interesting to learn about in Leviticus chapter 12. Thank you.